Welcome to the What the YA podcast, where we deem YA books terrible, beautiful, or not worth your time. I'm 1/3 of your host, Julia.
I'm 2/3 of your host, Brittany.
And I'm 3/3 of your host, Jeanette.
And together
we're
like,
what the yeah!
Because that's a thing.
Because that's a thing. 100%. 1,000%. Thanks.
So today we're discussing The Giver.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
By Lois Lowry.
The one book that I remember vividly from reading when I was in middle school. All the other books are like gone. Yes. So I don't remember any of the other ones.
This book stuck with me. It is one of my favorite children's books.
Which is why he suggested it.
Yeah. Heckin' yeah.
Alright, so feelings? Thoughts?
I like the book.
The end. Alright, we're done.
I enjoyed the book.
We're done with that now.
Sad. It's a sad book.
It is sad. I think it's very sad.
Is it sad? I'm so confused about this book. I didn't read this when I was younger, so...
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's that. Yeah, because you had, like, a different, like, schooling situation around this time.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. You were, like, all over the place with school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was when I switched schools, like, 3 times every
Yeah.
year.
Well, that's good. Back then, but for us now, to have an outside perspective as an adult reading it and not, like, a child.
Yeah, a child remembering it later.
I kept trying to, like, put myself in, okay, I'm a 12-year-old reading this book. How am I reacting? And I couldn't, like, do it.
It's nice to try.
Yeah. It's, I also like this book. I think it's very interesting because it's a book that you read in, like, 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting to expose, like that young of a mind to, like, this sort of concept, basically, pretty early. Like, we see dystopian, like, societies a lot now in, like, YA books and, like, pop culture in general.
Right.
So it's fascinating to see, like, it on a more, like, younger reader scale, as opposed to, like, the bit more, like, romance-heavy dystopian worlds that we get now.
In, like, the straight-up YA books?
Yeah.
Well, The Giver is also considered a young reader.
Yeah, it's considered
book,
young reader as opposed to
young adult. But
yeah.
Because the main characters are 12.
Right.
Which is, again, forgot that he was 12. Just like, I was like, oh, shit. God, what was I doing when I was 12? I was in 8th grade.
So he was training for his job.
Yeah, this kid got a job and, like, had to understand pain and Jesus. Fuck.
The vocabulary of the book is very large, too.
Yeah, I remember that when reading it in school, is that, like, any word that we didn't know, we had to highlight and find the definition for. And I remember having to highlight a lot of words. So
I should have highlighted some words reading it this time. I was like, context clues, help me out.
Yeah, give me context clues. What the fuck? what does this mean? Because I think it's like I said, it's very interesting to see it, like, taken to a young reader scale, as opposed to, like, the, like, bigger and more ridiculous notion of it in the young adult novels. Because, like, it's, like, so much simpler because it's for a younger reader, but also not. Like, it's still, like, a very complex, like, concept.
Definitely.
And especially, like, the concept of it as a whole. But also, it does, like, I think for younger readers, like, they can explain away a lot of the weird shit, like, in it, like, how the Giver gives the memories, like, as a whole and everything.
Because that's something you just have to, like, okay, that's a thing, don't think about it.
That's just a thing, right? But when you're, like, an adult, you're like, but why, though?
Definitely reading it as an adult, like, rereading it, like, I have a lot of questions, like, I remembered it a certain way, and then I reread it, and I'm like, just more came to me. Like, I've reread it before, like, this is probably my 5th time reading it, but now I just questioned more of it, I guess. Like, what the meaning behind everything was. Like, the ending I really want to talk about.
Yeah, that ending is really interesting.
Because I don't remember the ending of the book until, like, this time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I totally forgot that happened. Like, so.
I also, like, think it's interesting. Because there is, like, a lot of, like, dark shit that happens in this book. That is presented as not very dark. And I think that's fascinating because, like, it's, like, presented as not dark, but then Jonah understands it. Like, understands that it's dark and not good and bad or whatever. But, like, everyone else doesn't. so it's still presented as like that they're just doing their job, and then Jonah comes to the realization of what's happening as the same as like a young reader would come to that realization,
Right.
which is like interesting. And I think she grabbed her notes.
Julia
grabbed her notes.
I only have a couple, but it'll be something.
But it's like it's fast. Like that's I think a really smart way to write, because like you have this dystopian world. You have this dystopian world where like nobody really understands pain or sadness or anything like that, and then only one person does, and then Jonah gets the ability he becomes the new one of those, and then like understands all the things that they do in this world that aren't right and like are bad. Basically.
Well, that's the question though.
But
it's like, is it bad?
They're doing it for a reason.
Right, yeah, for sure. They're doing it for a reason, obviously. But like it's still like it's interesting that that a reader who at probably around the same age as Jonah in the book is reading this and coming to the realization that they don't know what they're doing, and like that like we know what we do every day. We have morals in our head, but when you have no like sadness or like bad things, you don't have morals. You're just doing your job. And then like Jonah comes to that realization, and it's like it's something that's really weird to cope with at 12 years old, which is like it's like I'm gonna be hung up on the age like probably for this entire podcast, because it's just like I couldn't imagine being like 12-year-old me who was just really like obsessed with Harry Potter.
Well, that's the thing, they didn't have those distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
Every part of their society was working towards.
Yeah. They knew exactly what they were going to be going through.
But
I still think
in all words, like a community.
Yeah, but I still think for Jonah, it's still like this weird moment in his life. Because for him, everything was leading up to this moment, and then it's like he has like an entirely new world open to his eyes, right? So like even though like their society is like cut off from a lot of the shit that we have now and like what made our society different, he still has like this weird revelation at 12 years old, and whether that's like considered an adult or not, like they're just getting like their apprenticeship type jobs. Basically they don't have their actual jobs yet, but he like his is barely an apprenticeship job. It's sort of like, all right, let's begin, like you getting all of these memories, like you don't like there's really no prep for that. It's just like you get them all and then I die later, so
here we go.
Like this is what you get. Let's begin. Take off your shirt, kid. Let me put my hand on your back.
So, do we want to read the, like, blurb of the book and then...
Alright, there's a blurb of the book, isn't there?
I forgot to bring my book, and I'm really sad because there were some things that I wanted to point out in there.
Oh,
it's okay. Don't actually have
I don't have that.
It's okay.
Yeah. Like what?
There was, like, a couple quotes in there that I didn't write down, but I, like, knew around what page they were.
Oh.
That's okay. In the area. So, Brittany, you're the only one who probably has it open in front of you, so you can go ahead and read it.
Okay. So, The Giver, number 1. 12. Is it Jonah or Jonas?
I thought it was Jonas.
I'm pretty sure it's Jonas, but I think I just started calling him Jonah out of nowhere, because...
Well, you listened to it. Did they pronounce it as Jonas?
I'm pretty sure they pronounce it Jonas, but I think I just changed it in my head. Like now.
It's Jonas.
I'm pretty sure it's Jonas. So,
okay. I just wasn't sure. So
because like I think I was just like his name is something like that.
Yeah, I was like I wrote it down. It's Jonas.
Yeah, it's Jonas. It's Jonas. Again, I listened to it like a week ago, so it's been like a week since so like some things have lost.
Memory's the best.
It's great. I know.
Alrighty. So 12-year-old Jonas lives in a seemingly ideal world. Not until he is given his life assignment as the receiver does he begin to understand the dark secrets behind this fragile community. And that's it.
Yeah, I like that because it doesn't give away.
It doesn't give away anything.
No,
it's like
great.
It's like a great, like the good kind of trailer, like where it doesn't reveal anything, but it gives you enough, to be interested in it.
Where you're like, okay, what's going on?
All right, well, that's like okay. So here's like my thing with dystopian worlds.
Okay, that's my other question. Is this a dystopian?
I guess it's not, because it's technically
depends on the ending, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they don't like they sort of like start revealing things at the end, but also
Well, like, it's like,
wanna,
so
like, say that
dystopians
here
are
now,
considered
but-
dystopians because the world around them has, like, crumbled,
Well,
and then society comes out
do you
of it in
consider
a
that,
certain
like,
way.
the world that we know right now? Because that's not the world that they live in.
Well, right, but, like, there's still, like, there's, like, the way that dystopian is, like, defined is, like, the world, like, as, like, we know it, the modern world collapses, and then a society comes out of it somehow. So, like, but I wouldn't consider, like, I don't know if I would consider, like, The Giver dystopian, because it, like, everything seems fine. We don't get any...
They created the sameness.
Yeah, they created sameness, basically.
Right.
Which, like, who knows how that happened.
Right, because they controlled the weather, they pretty much made everyone colorblind, if that's what actually...
They removed color somehow. Because, like, okay, so dystopian, the actual definition of dystopian as an adjective is relating to or denoting an imagined place or state in which everything is unpleasant or bad, typically a totalitarian or environmentally degraded one. So I think in this case, we can't classify, by definition, we can't classify The Giver as dystopian, because it's not unpleasant or bad.
Is it, though?
Well, like, I think to us it is, but I don't think to them it is.
Well, just because you don't realize that you're in pain, does that mean that it's okay?
Well, it's like the ignorance is bliss. Like,
Yeah.
I wrote that really big, like, in my notes.
Well, I think
like,
that leads into this. So, like, there's, like, it's typically totalitarian. So, like, there's, like, a council that rules over all of this, and, like, the elders, and the sameness and everything. So I think, okay, so, like, I think it's, like, this weird gray area, which is funny, because they only seem gray. But, like, because, like, I think it's, like, to, like, me, I want to say it's a dystopia, because it, like, although, like, there's no pain and hunger and badness, there's that stuff that still is, like, there's no choice. Yeah, there's people aren't free to do what they want to do. They're not free to be who they want to be.
It's like
they just
pain on your soul, not necessarily your body.
The weird thing is that they don't know that there's any other option.
Right. Yeah. This is the way that they've always known. They've never known anything else.
And the only reason why Jonas starts to rebel is because he learns that there is a different way.
I don't think he really starts to rebel until the ending.
It's
but
not
I feel like he just, like, gets his eyes opened and, like, he realizes that what his dad does for a living, and, like, he realizes, like, that...
He says early on, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't...
Like, in a very angry way.
Yeah, for sure, Like, he learns pretty quick. Like, he learns pretty quickly that it's not fair. But I think The Giver does a great job of explaining, like, why. Because, like, he gives them, like, because he starts off with happy memories, which is, like, a good start. But then he makes Jonas feel hunger, and, like, this is, like, why, like, they did this. It's like, this was what happened to our world. People were hungry. People were in pain. People were sad. By removing all of that stuff, we were able to create what we believe is a utopia.
And a safe community.
And a safe community where everyone has its place, everyone feels comfortable and happy, and, like, you talk about your dreams at mealtime with your family, who aren't really your parents, because you can either be a birth...
Yeah, that was and
then become a laborer for the rest of your life.
I feel like that I didn't, like, even think about as a kid.
Yeah,
like that was weird, and now I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's very weird. But, like, yeah, like, I think, like, it's like
who's impregnating these women? Where
exactly. They didn't explain any of that.
No.
Is there, like birth fathers?
Right. No.
I imagine
because Jonas said, like, there's no way he could have ended up like that.
Yeah.
Well, he said birth mother.
Well, the only thing that I can think of is, like, they, like, either, like, artificially make semen, but I don't know how that would be the case.
My other theory that I just thought of is when The Giver says that Rosemary is his daughter, is it his actual daughter because he's the one that gives it because he has the wisdom?
Yeah. Well,
so
like,
is he like the father of everyone?
I don't think so.
That would be weird.
I don't.
That's like the only clue I can think of.
Well, because, like,
maybe that he just meant like that was his daughter, and she also
child that was
happens.
assigned.
Yeah.
I think
Or-
Brittany brings up an interesting point, because the only way they determine the receiver is by the eyes, and the only other person who has those eyes besides Jonas is the giver.
Yeah.
So if the giver gives also his genetics, then, because, like, technically, although it's been disproven, but before it used to be like lighter eyes were recessive versus the darker dominant eyes, but that's been disproven, so this doesn't really make any sense. But still, if he's passing on the genes, there is like an X amount of chance that there's like more likelihood that like a darker eye color will come out versus a lighter eye color, which is why there's not as many.
So you're saying the giver was the dad of every child, or just of like Jonas and?
Well, we don't know, but like it would
other like
it seems like there's a connection between the three of them.
Yeah,
and Gabe.
Oh yeah,
because it's like there's like a clear connection between the giver and Rosemary, and the giver and Jonas, and so by that thinking, you should think that there's a connection between Jonas and Rosemary. Like somehow, I don't think it was like a genetic mutation that made them have lighter eyes, but I think it's just their genetics in general.
But it was like they could have the connection just because their
birth mother. It could be, like there's like so many different
the memories.
Yeah.
Or,
there's so many different
there's also
ways.
Magic, so...
Yeah, there's also, like...
It could just be magic.
Yeah, like, there's really nothing that says that...
It's just random.
Yeah. Because, like, it's...
Although there seems to be a lot of light-colored-eyed people in this scenario.
Yeah,
and, before, Jonas was like, I, am by myself, really, besides, the year 5 girl, and then...
Because I do think it's interesting that, Rosemary happened so soon before Jonah. Like, does that make sense?
10 years?
It seems like, yeah, I think there's because it feels like there's such a, because the giver is an old man, right?
Well, he's not as old as he looks.
True.
He says that.
Yeah, he says that. But it's it's interesting that it's I just want to know the time frame of what his actual age is between his age and Rosemary's age, and then Rosemary's age versus Jonas's age, because
well, the thing with Rosemary happened when Jonas was 2.
Yeah, that's right. But so she was at least 12. And then the giver was, who knows? So it would be interesting to know the how often a receiver happens, basically. Because if he's if they had already started prepping Rosemary for it, because didn't Jonas start doing everything because the giver was it's almost my time to go to whatever place, the dying place, the place for the old people. House of the old, which is actually
the dying place.
It's basically the dying place.
It's a house full of old people.
Then they die there. That's what happens to old people, Julia. Which is what Jonah learns.
Jonas.
I'm going to call him Jonah for the end of the podcast. I know you guys are fucking ready for this.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, you get it. You fucking know. But, it's because he, says to Jonas that, it's, almost time for him to go to the house of the old. Mm-hmm. So it's, how old, was that also, why Rosemary? Did he also say that to Rosemary, too? It's almost fine, because, it seems like there could only be one, giver at a time, right? So,
True.
Was he supposed to go to the old people place,
mm-hmm.
long ago? And,
yeah.
Just been hanging out, by a thread.
Yeah.
Basically, just take all the memories.
Is part of the reason that he ends up going along with the plan later on, because he wouldn't have done that 10 years ago.
Probably not, no. I think what happened to Rosemary needed to happen for any, for his, mindset to change, basically. Yeah. As sad as that is. Yeah. It's just, interesting. Because, that's, an interesting theory that, the giver also gave, his genetics.
Yeah, but...
It's, I don't think it's true, but it's an interesting theory.
I don't think anybody can, because, they take that pill so that the stirrings, aka, them being
the
horny...
urgings.
Stirrings.
I like urgings.
The stirrings. So they stop.
Yeah.
So nobody can produce sperm.
Yeah.
If they're, they don't know that that's...
Then where does
they
it
don't
come
have
from?
They don't have sex. Okay, so, all the men just,
I wonder if they're, during, like a monthly like checkup, because it seems like this is very it's a very regimented society.
Right.
So I imagine they have
doctors.
There are doctors.
One lady became a doctor, his friend.
So like I imagine there's like every month you have to do a checkup, because like you have to get like your pills and everything like that. So like I wonder if maybe like the men are like being told to do something, or like.
But you can't talk about it because that's rude.
Yeah, exactly. It's rude.
So there's like all these things that people are actually doing that no one talks about, because it's just repressing everything.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And that's why it explodes.
Because that's what happens. Don't repress your shit, kids. It's not good for you.
That's the lesson.
No, don't repress your shit.
Stirrings are okay.
Stirrings are okay. Yeah, because there's like a lot of stuff
Fiona.
that we don't know about.
That was the girl's name.
Who?
I remembered. Fiona.
Fiona.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
the girl with the red hair. Because there's so much that isn't talked about, because we're only seeing like Jonas's side of everything, and I think most of it is based off of like all we're really focusing on is him as the receiver. So all we see is the stuff that we like the society, like we don't get much of the society other than like him interacting with it slightly before, learning of like the other like colors, and then him interacting with the world after learning it. So, but like we don't see anything like behind the scenes of like other people, because I don't imagine they're asking like 12-year-olds to like provide their own semen to the birth mothers.
Probably not.
So like I imagine that's something like when you get to like your like adult age, it's something that you do, but like we don't see any of that because it's not important. I think it's one of those things where like it's not important for us to know, so they just carefully didn't mention it.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can infer, though, that something obviously is happening, because that's where babies come from. Unless it's magic.
It's magic.
Because
magically get pregnant.
Because I feel like the like birth mother thing was like a throwaway line to basically tell us as the reader, like, none of the kids are actually the kids of the parents. Like, parents don't have sex. Birth mothers, the laborer, like, birthers give birth, and that's it. So, but, like, I don't think any actual thought was, like, put into, like, how that goes about. Because, again, we don't really see any of it, like, from, like, the adult aspect. Because we never see, like, the birthing situation. Because why would we? We don't need to. Because his sister was talked out of it immediately.
Right.
Because they have such a short lifespan and they become laborers forever. And then they go to the old people place.
Go to the house of the old.
The old people place.
They go to the place.
Well, they don't go
die.
there yet. Yeah, I was like, they would go to the. Oh God, what was the other place called? The place with grown-up children. When adults no longer have
childless
children.
parents?
Yes, the
Childless
childless parents go there.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah. You don't have children anymore? You can
get
go
to
live
go
with these other people who also don't have children.
You can bond over your lack of
Like
children.
that was another thing that was like, what does that mean? Like, do you stay in the house that you're in, or do you literally go to another house because you only need like one bedroom now?
I think you just go to a place.
Well, because like I think like there's like,
are you not like
building.
married anymore?
Well, the point of marriage is to bring up children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point of like their marriage system, is that like you have to raise the children. But like honestly, I don't think the parents really do much to raise the children except talk to them about their dreams during dinner.
Well, yeah,
they talk about their dreams after they wake up, and then they discuss their feelings.
And then feelings at dinner. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just
That's
like
not their day.
it's like they're trying to make the image of the ideal society instead of actually
having an ideal society.
having it.
Yeah. Because like once you're childless, like I think it's like you're childless now, so we need you to move out of this house so that we can have another potential family live in it. So you're gonna go to this place, which is meant for like, because like maybe it's like another part of the like society that's like another land that has like a bunch of like one couple homes or whatever, or maybe
if you're not together, it's like little apartments.
Yeah, it's like little apartments or whatever. It's so like
because you still have your job.
Yeah, like you still have your job and everything. You just don't have children anymore. So I feel like it's like going to like I think like it's a good like way to think about it. Is like you go to apartments. Like it's an apartment building for childless parents. So like you no longer need a house, but you're still a member of the society. but your children are grown now, so you get to go to, like, this place now.
Yeah.
And then when you are old and dying, you go to the old people place.
The old people place.
You go to the childless apartments and the old people place.
Your life is great.
Yeah, your life is so fucking great.
Woo.
Now go stab a needle into that newborn's forehead and then get going, kiddo.
The forehead.
That's such a traumatic moment. And, like, I remember reading it as a 12-year-old.
I remember being heartbroken.
And, like, yeah, and, like, being just, like, extremely sad because you understand the same moment that Jonas understands.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, and I think that's why this
especially because his father has such, like, a soft demeanor.
Yeah, and his father is, like, really kind and gentle and soothing because he works with newborns. So
right,
like,
and then he's just, but he's so, like, he thinks that it's better for the community. Yeah. Like, that's what he's been told.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. Well,
he also doesn't know. He doesn't. I don't think
he knows that he's murdering, but it's not murder. Like, he's just getting rid of something that wouldn't work in the society.
Because I think the way he thinks it is, like, I'm turning you off. Like, right. I'm not killing a person. I'm just turning this thing off. Like, it's no longer, like, a thing that exists. We don't need twins because that's silly. Even though that would make sense in this sameness world. But, like, it's, like, still, like, it's, like, I don't think to him it's, like, classified as, like, killing something. I think it's classified as, like, this is just, we're just turning it off.
That's why they call it the elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Or releasing.
Yeah, releasing, basically. Because, like, it's not, to them it's not bad. It's just, like, you're not necessary, but, like, not necessary in, like, in a good way, I guess is the best.
I want to know what they do with the
You're
bodies.
not efficient.
Yeah, you're not efficient or something. And, like, that's not bad. It's not a bad thing, so we're just going to release you because you're not... I'm sorry.
There's, like, a massive grave outside.
Yeah, because doesn't he drop him into a chute?
Yeah, a garbage chute. But the thing is, like, do they burn their garbage? Because I'm pretty sure the burning flesh...
Oh, yeah, burning flesh does not smell good.
No.
Well, maybe that's what they have the planes for. They take the bodies elsewhere.
Ooh, that would be fucked up.
Jesus.
That poor pilot.
The pilot doesn't know what's in his thing. They're just bags.
Yeah, they're just bags. That smell awful.
They're not supposed to open it. And everyone follows the rules, right?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Here's, like, another interesting thought. Is, like, is this, like, society, like, in a dystopian world? Or is it just, like, the village where it's, like...
It's just... I feel like it's just closed off from everything else because at the end... He, like, after a really long time, he sees birds.
Yeah, he sees birds.
Like, birds that never flew over where he was. Like, they're in a snow globe, essentially. That isn't affected...
Are they actually in a snow globe?
Well, it's not affected by weather. Like, it's, like, blind to the rest of the world. There's no hills. It's flat land. Like...
Yeah. Do you guys remember that TV show that was, like, called The Dome? And, like, there was, like, this TV show where they dropped, like, this, like... I don't know. I never watched it. I just saw, like, commercials for it. But it was, like, people, like, just dropped this giant dome over this town.
Like in the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, basically. But then they took that and made it, like, a real TV show, which is weird. And then, like, people were trapped down. They're trying to figure out, like, why, I guess. But, like, it would be interesting if that's what happened. Like, how...
But there was no dome.
I was like, how did Jonas get out then?
Exactly. Like, there's no dome. But, like, I do... Like, it would be interesting if, like, in actuality, like, the society isn't, like, born out of a world that, like, crumbled, but actually, like, is just in that world, like, in our modern world, just, like, and they just, like, secluded themselves away from it, basically.
I think either is possible.
Yeah, for sure. And then when you're released, you're actually just, like, released into the world. Like, and then you die because you're terrified. Because you have no idea what the fuck is going on anymore.
So, do we want to talk about the ending?
Yes.
Yes, we have to.
So, what do you guys think happened?
So, a part of me feels like it's a metaphor for him dying.
Right. Yes. That's my, like...
But I didn't get that the first time I read it. Like, I was just like, okay, yeah, he's sliding down. He's gonna go get, like, a new society. Yeah. But, like, this time I was like, holy fuck, he died. Yeah. He just died. So...
I didn't think that.
That's how I read it.
Because, like, okay, I like... Oh, my gosh.
Jeanette?
I'm so sorry. I know, I'm awful. I'm trying. Because I remember that Lois Lowry, like, talked about it in an interview once. Because, like,
But she doesn't commit either way.
Yeah, she doesn't. She never commits.
Bitch.
Yeah. That fucking
I hate when people do that.
bitch.
She says she wanted to purposefully make it, nothing concrete.
In 2009, at the National Book Festival, the author Lois Lowry joked during Q&A. Jonas is alive, by the way. You don't need to ask that question. So, like, but she also joked. So, like,
the ending is ambiguous.
Yeah, the ending
Jonas
is meant to be
as experiencing symptoms of hypothermia. This leaves his and Gabe's future unresolved. However, their fate is revealed
in Gathering Blue and in Messenger.
Companion novels written much later.
Interesting.
I read Gathering Blue. I don't actually remember him.
If I remember
but
correctly,
I'm gonna reread it.
If I remember correctly, it follows someone else.
No, it does.
It does, yeah.
Like, there's like one mention of a 5-year-old boy with blue eyes, which is supposed to be Gabe.
Oh, okay.
It's like a really 2-second mention.
Like,
you're like,
oh,
they're alive.
I wonder if Messenger has like a bigger. Like,
I think
probably don't read it though because
walk away from that.
I think Messenger had a bigger, like, pointing finger to be like,
so
look, it's them.
Yeah. So I think, like, with her joke and, like, with their mentions, like, we obviously don't know what is mentioned in Messenger about them, but I guess we can infer that he's not dead.
Well,
but, like, I like, it does definitely feel like, because, like, anybody who's ever, like, been, like, experienced hypothermia symptoms, which I have experienced hypothermia symptoms when I was in marching band, which is great, which is hilarious. It's, like, the funniest thing. Like, I experienced hypothermia when I was in marching band.
Hooray.
I'm so fucking cool, you guys. You do start to, like, because, like, one of the symptoms of hypothermia is hallucinations. So, like, it, like, does seem possible. And, like, definitely something that, like, initially when I first read it, I don't think as, like, a 12-year-old, I was like, oh, he's dead. But, like, definitely now, I'm like, yeah, he's dead. Like, my initial thinking is, like, he's dead. There's no way. He's fucking dead. Like, unless someone found him in the snow.
Right.
But who the fuck would do that? But I guess that's explored in Gathering Blue and in Messenger. So, like, but it's definitely something that I think when I listen to it
treating
again.
this like a standalone. Like,
yeah, I treated it as
I
a
don't
standalone.
think the intention was like there's gonna be like 3 other books.
Right. I think if this is a standalone, I think Jonas and Gabe are dead. Like,
but Brittany didn't. So why do you think?
Yeah.
No, Brittany.
Well,
like,
what did you think of the ending?
Okay.
Explain your thoughts and feelings.
At the point where he's like, all right, I can't do the plan anymore. I have to say Gabe. Like that, from that point on, I was like, okay, so I was thinking this the entire time I was reading, but this was like solidifying it. It was like, okay, so this is just a big metaphor, and none of this is actually real because there's too many questions that don't make any sense.
Right.
So reading it that way, it's like, I don't see them as actual people, so they're not dead, they're just, like, making a point. Which, I'm just, like, I'm tempted to say something, but it might be offensive, so.
Ooh.
Do it.
Well, it's not, like, offensive, but it's, like, it just reminded me, like, of the Bible.
Okay, gotcha.
Where it's, like, I don't really... When reading it, it's like I don't really picture real people. I picture someone trying to teach me something.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Which is part of the reason I didn't like the ending, because I wanted the plot to actually feel like a real plot, but it doesn't, because all the concrete details don't amount to anything. So,
yeah.
It has to be metaphor. Therefore, the characters themselves don't actually matter. Therefore... it doesn't matter if they're dead or alive. What matters is if you learned a lesson, which makes me angry.
Which I hate it. I hate learning lessons.
Damn it.
'Cause, yeah, I think there's a lot of, like, shit in this book that's very, like, metaphorical and very much, like, teaching you something.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that makes sense, like, heavily, to, like, feel that way. It's like, yeah, no, like, because there's so much shit that's, like, like doesn't have an explanation, like the birthers and like how they get the like semen for it, and like how just putting his hand and thinking of a memory transfers a memory to Jonas.
That's magic.
It's magic. But, like, magic...
Unless it's a metaphor for older generations teaching younger generations. Like, if it's a metaphor, it's not actually magic.
It's just
a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor.
So it's like...
It's like a thing, like, that, like, a lot of people who, like, are fans of reading struggle with is, like... It's like the it was all a dream, like, explain away. It's like, all that shit that happened doesn't matter now. Because it was just a dream. Yeah. So that weird shit that was, like, fascinating and built theories on shit is, like, no longer...
That was another one of my theories where it was, like, the whole ending bit, what if that was just a memory that the giver was giving him to, like, to build up the courage for the plan they were about to do.
That's cool.
The memory was him escaping the whole thing?
Yeah.
So the giver
like
would have had to have done that.
Or someone would have had to have done it.
But he was even saying that every time there's an escape, like, there's 101 memories of escape, but every time it's a different outcome and everything about it, the thing is different. Mm-hmm. But who would escape? The escape of that world has never happened.
I don't know how the memories work.
Well, the memory... Okay. Me either, Brittany, but I mean...
Because, like, what could be, if we go off of that theory of, like, the giver, like, giving Jonah, like, a memory to, like, hype up for, like...
And he also says, like, that he didn't get the memories of courage from the giver.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is actually him experiencing it, but in the moment, that's not what you would feel.
Yeah. Because, like, it would be interesting if the giver, like, created a memory. Like, created a story. Well,
that's another question. Like, are all of these memories, or are some of them stories from the books that are on the shelves that we never actually get to look at?
But he has so many fucking books. So many books.
So it's like, all of these memories, like, how real are they?
Yeah.
And it's like, are memories real?
Yeah. Because, like, if you think about it, like, I don't know how long
that whole conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
if you think about, like, how long this society's been around, there's been multiple givers before this giver who gave back. So, not all of those memories are his memories. Mm-hmm. So, there's someone else's memories.
Well, I don't think any of the memories are his
exactly.
Memory.
So, like, there's, like, reason to believe that they're not actually memories. They're just stories and just feelings.
But aren't stories memories?
Not
yes.
necessarily. Like,
I mean, even, like, your personal memories, like, I was always told of a time where my brother was carrying me and dropped me on my head, and I think I remember that, but I don't because I was a baby. I only think I remember the memory because the story was told to me 100 times.
Mm-hmm. But exactly. Like, so is there a story of a little boy that escaped and made it? Or is the giver able to create that story and give it to Jonah as a memory?
Because that's what wisdom is.
Oh, shit!
Oh! Wait, that's
and we're done.
Thank you for tuning into What the
I would like to speak to the author.
Lois, where are you? Some choice words for you. Because, yeah, like, because that's, like, an interesting...
I definitely never, like, thought of the ending as just a giant memory that the giver was giving.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to.
Well, the reason that I thought that was because at that moment where he's like, I can't do the plan, I have to do this instead. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just, like, such a departure from what we were about to do.
Well, it's also because they were going to kill Gabe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's, like, basically what caused it to change. And, like, I think, like, Jonas, like, learned so much. It's a short period of time with the giver that, like, he learns also empathy and, like, care and love. Like, legitimate love. And he cares for Gabe, like, on a level that, like...
But I just thought it was weird that he didn't stop to tell the giver what was going on.
Yeah. He just, like...
He had time.
he could have.
It was pretty risky in itself, like, their plan.
But he was already planning on sneaking over there. He could have done the same
exact
thing.
Yeah, but in 2 weeks... in 2 weeks on a day when everybody...
It was the same night they were planning on doing it.
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was.
It was like
he was
2
like,
weeks
because he's
because he said that he didn't have enough time to gain all of the memories of courage that the giver was going to give him in that time period. Like, it wasn't going to be one day. It was like at least a week or two of time that... And then his dad was like, yeah, we're going to release Gabe. And he's like, holy shit, like, I have to do this now. And he did it at night instead of in the early morning to give him more of a time period to run away because he didn't have that distraction of, like, the day that everyone was going to be at the auditorium or whatever it is.
True.
So that's interesting. Because, like, on this, like, theory that, like the ending is just a memory that the giver gave. Like, what if, like... If we go into this theory of, like, he just told a story and gave it to Gabe, like, gave it to Jonas as a memory, like, could he have given him a story where Gabe, because, like, doesn't he tell the giver about Gabe?
Yeah.
Too?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, what if the giver gave him a memory where he had to, like, act on impulse, basically, and make a decision, and that decision is to save Gabe or just save himself? And that's, like, a courage memory that he gives. But it's, like, more powerful because it's, like, it's Jonas specifically. And because it's Jonas, he doesn't think it's an actual memory. And we don't think it's an actual memory. It's just the story.
Yeah. I don't know.
It would be fascinating for sure. If, like, the reason why it was such a big departure is because, like, that's how the giver chose to give Jonas... courage, the memory of courage. But I think, like...
Or it's just, like, it's all actually happening, and the giver planned it that way. So that... It's,
do you think
so that
maybe...
while Jonas and Gabe were doing all this, that memory, Jonas's actual memory, is what the community is going to get when all the memories transfer. They're going to get the last, like, third of the book is what's going to hit the community. And because it's such, like, a courageous thing, that's what the giver wanted to give the community first.
Because, like, there's, like, another, like, in that thing of, like,
which is very manipulative.
If you go on to that idea of if the giver planned it, do you think courage is a memory that he has? Because do you think if they had courage, they would still be in, like, the giver would stay where they're at, or would they just leave and release the memories back? Is, like, courage one of the memories that is, like, carefully omitted from giving to the giver in any instance?
No. Because you can't have true wisdom if you don't have everything.
I mean, true. But we don't know that he has true wisdom. He just knows everything that the society doesn't. So, like, could you give an argument that, like, when they built the society, they removed courage as a way to keep everyone docile and in the world?
Maybe they would try, but it's very innate in humans. So
for sure, that
I think it would be, if it's omitted from the memories, it would be learned through experiencing the pain in the memories.
For sure,
so he would still have it.
Yeah, because it would be interesting that, like, there is no courage memory to give. You have to learn courage by learning other things first. Because you need to have courage.
Oh, yeah, because, like, the actual definition of, like, bravery or courage is, like, it's hard to quantify without, like, a story or an example.
Right.
So.
Yeah, let's Google the actual definition of courage.
Because when they pick Jonas, they're like, and you're brave, and he's like, what does that mean?
It's like the ability to do something that frightens one, or strength in the face of pain or grief.
A Gryffindor.
So, like, if you think about that, like, so, like, I feel like, I think you can, like, safely say that all of the givers have had courage because they have had strength in the face of pain or grief because they've learned pain.
That one's better.
And grief.
Courage is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation.
Yeah. Because, like, I think we can safely say that all of the givers have courage, but I think they got courage from having the memories that they have, and being strong and like within like those memories and still like staying a part of society. But it would be interesting if like courage is not something that they can provide via memory. Like that's something that the givers eventually.
Well, that might be true because no one's ever rebelled against it before, like
exactly.
you were saying.
Yeah, because no one's rebelled. Like no giver before. Like Rosemary was the first one to like basically rebel.
She wasn't really rebelling.
Yeah, she wasn't really rebelling. She just couldn't take it.
She's just done.
So like,
maybe the truth was too much.
Yeah, but like that makes me think that maybe like she didn't get courage from it. She gained fear from it, basically. So like, you have to be a strong giver to gain courage, but like you can.
Well,
also
I don't think she wasn't courageous because she
was the one the decision to kill herself,
right?
True. And she did it to herself.
You're not wrong. You're right. So like, you could say that she like gained courage to like not want to be a part of the society anymore, and she found that her only way out was to kill herself. But it didn't like, and she found that that courage via the stuff that she learned, and like Jonas gained his courage when like he realized that someone else was going to die who didn't deserve to, because he was a great boy and he learned things because Jonas is an idiot and like accidentally transferred a memory.
That was weird too.
I like that you said that as you're sipping like strong apple cider. That was weird too.
Brittany's getting turned.
Brittany's getting fucking turned. I'm so sorry. Keep like accidentally hitting it.
It's fine.
But like, I'm sorry. But like that's like what I'm trying to like get like is like the courage of memory that the giver could even give Jonas, or is courage something that the givers get by gaining their memories?
I mean, it might be both, because like he has all these memories of war and stuff, and
that's
like
just
a bunch of courageous people forced into these situations that they don't want to be in.
He transfers the feeling of hunger to him, which is interesting and weird. But like, so like, it does. I don't think there's no like memory that he doesn't have that he can't give to Jonas. But I think it would like make for an interesting, like a more interesting plot point and like a more interesting like reason as to like why the society hasn't rebelled the way that it should. Is because the only people who have like really have courage are the people who know pain and know strength and know hunger, and those are the only people who have those memories, which are the givers / receivers. Which also, what do you become after you've received everything, but you're not yet giving it? You're just there.
You're still the receiver.
You
don't become the giver until a second receiver is.
Right. Gotcha. Interesting. Weird. I'm the receiver, although I've already received everything, so I'm no longer receiving.
Well, does he receive? Does he receive?
Yeah, does he become the received?
Is he continually receiving memories that are happening currently, like of everyone in the community?
Think so. I feel like it was just like he received the memories of the world before, so that their community could thrive,
could learn from
the mistakes of the past, essentially.
Because I guess according to them, they don't make mistakes,
right?
So they have no memories to really provide that they can learn from. Even though I have a few choice words. Like, maybe don't kill the newborn children.
Population control.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up.
I liked the idea that his sister had of, like, a twin living in another community, and then them going on a field trip and seeing that person and them getting confused and taking back her own twin.
Let's go into that story.
Yeah, dude, like, fucking, she's got some good shit in that brain of hers. Let's write that shit.
It's interesting, there was only one line about it, but sometimes they have storytellers.
Yeah, at one point in time they did.
Which, how is that different from a receiver?
I think, like, maybe the stories are, like, very, like, tailored to, like, their society.
Right, they have to be, because they didn't even know that animals existed.
Yeah.
Like, they thought that elephants and hippos were
so,
made
like,
up.
The story is about, like, a kid who finally gets his bike. And now he has his bike.
That'd be boring as fuck.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But also, I don't think they know what a good story is.
That's true.
So, like, to them, that's a fucking great story. That's a fucking great. It's like
well,
he spends like
dreams be
fucking
stories, I guess, because like that's the only
they talk about their dreams.
Have,
so yeah, like that's like potential. I think isn't there like they have like specifically like they have books that they're allowed to read, like the books that the giver has.
But they're not allowed to read any books.
They're not allowed to read. Okay. Like,
well, no, they have very select books.
Oh yeah, they have like the rule
rules,
books,
the manuals for like the bike.
Right.
And
yeah, the bike manual.
Listen, kid, here's your bike manual. This is how you work the pedals.
Read up.
Read up. Your chain got loose. Here's how you put it back on. Kill it, fam. Proud of you. But like, I feel like if anything, their stories are very geared to their rules. Like it's like each rule has its own story, like related to it, and like it's very like falls within.
I think having a storyteller would be so dangerous.
But
maybe that's why they got rid of it.
Yeah, like they did get rid of it.
Happened.
So I feel like like if anything, if they had it and now they don't have it, they probably realize the danger of having a storyteller.
Because she even said like it hasn't for a long time. Like, is that a long time? Like she heard when she was a kid that there used to be one, or she
like
knew
even
of
longer,
one.
Knew of one, or like her parents.
Well, they don't have parents.
They
don't have grandparents.
Yeah, they don't have grandparents. They don't.
Which was so sad. He was like, "Who are the other people?
Who are the old people?
Why
in
were
the
the
room?
old people there?"
Those are grandparents.
Like when he realized, like he doesn't know
who is like real
who his parents are.
He doesn't even know who his parents are.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like,
he doesn't like have an actual like physical connection to anyone in his family.
I think that's like the saddest like part is when like he learns like the memory of like Christmas and like family.
He's like,
and then he realizes he does like his family isn't a family; it's a copy of a family.
I thought
it's like a family pretending to be a family.
I thought it was really eye-opening when like he asked his parents like, "Do you love me?" And they kind of laughed and they're like, "With someone who knows grammar so well, like, why would you ask us that? Like, it's such a generic word. Like, you might get scolded. Like, do we appreciate you? Yes. Do we think you're knowledgeable? Like, yes. But don't say, do we love you? Because that's not
precise enough.
Right.
Yeah, it's too
like,
vague.
it's such a general.
Love is very vague.
I was like, oh no, child.
It hurts me.
Okay.
World you live in.
This happened a few times while I was reading. I was like, okay, so if they're not allowed to like say love, how do they know what that word is?
I think they know what that word is because they know the definition of it, right? Like it's like a word in the like their
they have a dictionary. That was another thing they had.
They have a dictionary.
But sled, they don't know what that is, so that wasn't in the dictionary.
And like starving.
Yeah, starving.
Like he's like, oh, I'm starving. Like, why would you even have that phrase in this society?
Well, that
at all.
He's probably.
You wouldn't have need of a word like that.
Right. So like the definition of love as a noun is an intense feeling of deep affection. So I think and like the other one is a person or thing that one loves. And as a verb, oh my god, there's even more nouns. A personified figure of love, often represented as a cupid, a great interest and pleasure in something, affectionate greetings conveyed to someone on one's behalf. A formula for ending an affectionate letter. So maybe that one. That's the definition they know.
It's just weird, like
maybe the dictionaries get smaller every year.
I mean, maybe
and they used to have certain words.
Like they don't need, because I feel like there's like a reason to have it because it does represent something. Like you can love your bike. I love my bike. My bike is so great because I have
that's not
great
precise
interest and pleasure
language.
in something. Yeah, but maybe they still know what it is.
I enjoy writing my book.
Yeah,
you could say that.
Yeah, but like it's like I don't know. You don't know.
Like I think this is more of like a writing thing rather than like the actual society thing because it's hard to like make a utopian perfect even in theory. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, there's no way
because like the other time this happened was when it was one of the first times he goes to the giver and he learns the idea of like there's other people and other times than the present and us.
Yeah.
And I was confused because I was like, why would you have... You wouldn't have a concept of just us, just the present, without having the concept of other, of future, of past. Mm-hmm. But he himself is like, oh, I thought it was just us and the now. And I was like, you wouldn't know what that meant.
But they also know elsewhere. They know that there's other communities because they've gone on field trips.
But he means it in a way of like other people like outside of these communities, like a different way of life, other cultures. But they wouldn't have a concept of that because they wouldn't want that to be in your brain.
Is like one of those things where like maybe it's like the givers, like they need to know what this word is. It's important. They need to have it. It's like one of those instances where like they wanted to remove it, but the giver was like, nah man, don't do it.
But how do you even teach that without saying like there's generations behind us that we're learning from and all this stuff? Like you don't have a concept of past. Mm-hmm. So how do you have a concept of the present without that? You don't.
Yeah.
So like, the fact that Jonas can like logic that doesn't make any sense, especially as a 12-year-old. So
fucking smart ass 12-year-olds.
Like, it's not like 12-year-olds are dumb, but it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like without a concept of past and future, you don't know what now actually means. Mm-hmm. But he's the one that said it, not the giver. Yeah, I think it could be just like a weird word choice, because I think in that moment he just means, I thought that this is all that we are, like there was nothing before. You can't have a concept of just this without knowing there's something else. Yeah. Because like none of them ever think about like before them. Because so, it would be phrased differently. He would be asking like, oh, there's more, rather than saying, no, it's just us. Yeah. Because if you're thinking exclusionary, there's something to exclude from. Right. I don't know. It was just weird wording, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because it's definitely weird. Because like obviously I don't know where I was going with it, but I lost it. But I had like a thought, and it just floated away into the ether. Now it's gone forever. But yeah, that just happened a few times where I was like, you wouldn't have a concept of this, so you shouldn't be able to logic this in your little brain. I think it's one of those instances where it's like the writer didn't know how to write it to convey like what they wanted them to say it just contributes to the idea this is a metaphor and it's not actually happening, so it's not an actual plot, so the ending doesn't actually matter.
What I want to know is how old are these elders that are making all these rules, and why are they killing off other old people every other day? Dude. Because like, how do you become an elder?
I'm assuming you get chosen.
But, like, do they replace the elders after so long? Like, do you have to, like, train to be an elder? Do you at the age of 12, do you start apprenticing to be an elder? Like, every, like, 50 years or something? Like, how old are the elders? Why aren't they in the house of the old if they're as old as the old people?
Well, maybe it's another process where you get chosen to either go to the house of old, or there's maybe multiple other things that happen, but Jonas doesn't know that because he's not old and doesn't deal with the old. He doesn't hold it, He only deals with the ones in the house of the old. What I always, like, struggle with like, these, like, dystopian type world books is... So many questions. One, I have so many questions, and your narrator is always unreliable. Mm-hmm. Because, like, they don't know what's happening. They don't know anything. Or... And they're 12. Yeah, they're really young. Or, like, they only know their side of, like, the situation. They don't know anything else. And you don't really get to learn anything else. Unless, like, someone monologues for too long. And then it's like, okay, now we have, like, this lovely 3-chapter, like, monologue of exposition. Yeah. But, like... Yeah, that's always my issue, too. Which is why I can't read Hunger Games. Because, like, I struggle with it because I want to know what happened. And I want to know how did this society became this society. Yeah, like, I want to know how it became the thing, how sameness was, like, even invented, like, how they removed memories, how they did any of the stuff that they did. And, like, but also I don't want these long exposition, like explanations of it. I want if the explanation isn't part of the plot, you're not going to get it.
Exactly. So, and then you're never going to get an answer to it because there's no...
Yeah. Which is like, I can't read Divergent either because like...
Same. I can't get into Divergent at all.
I read the first 2 chapters and I'm like, nope, this doesn't make any sense. This wouldn't happen. I can't read it.
And it's like, because I was able to read The Hunger Games.
Nope.
Watched both of those movies.
And I was able to read The Hunger Games because like, for me, it was interesting enough to keep me, but I still like have questions. Like I still have so many questions. Yeah.
Like,
but like
to
it's
have
still
a
like
society that does what the Hunger Games Society does. Like, you have to explain that. That's not okay. None of this is okay. Why is everyone thinking it's okay?
Yeah,
this isn't okay.
This is not okay. This is bad. This is really bad. So, like, yeah, there's, like, always, like, a moment of just, like, I want to know more about this society, but I don't want to be told by some random person who just gives me, like, a full rundown of, like, the entire world and what happened to it. I want it to be learned authentically. Mm-hmm. But also, especially for this story, there's no reason for Jonas to give us any of that information because he doesn't know any of the information.
Well, at least with this society, you can kind of see... Like, it's the efficiency and, like, it's like that argument. It's an efficient utopia. Yeah. So, you can kind of see where people would get the idea to do it, but actually implementing it, I don't know how that would...
Because they implement it through magic.
Like, it would take so long for it to actually become ingrained in people. Unless you have the giver... So no one has memories. But I don't know how you do that, so.
Yeah. So, like, that's, like, basically the thing is, like, how did, like...
Because that's another thing. Because if magic is a thing, and you can put memories into one person, okay, then everyone's just a blank slate. So it's pretty easy to start that community right away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe
but
that's
how did that happen, though? Like, how did there only be one memory person who controls all the memories, and then if they die... all their memories get released back. Like, that's... Which doesn't make sense.
That's
so it's like...
dangerous. He's allowed to just, like, walk around and do whatever he wants. Like, he could just die.
He could just die.
What if he has a heart attack?
Like, guys, get it together. He's got a lot of shit in his brain. Right?
Well, apparently what happens if they die, don't all the memories go back to everyone?
Yeah.
They become released within the community.
Because that's what happened with Rosemary. When she died... a bunch of, like, memories were released back into the society, which we don't really learn what happened after that.
Because their memories were wiped.
Yeah, everyone's memories
That's why everybody gets really uncomfortable, because they're like, what did happen that day?
Yeah. Huh, weird.
Odd. There's a mass panic, and then, I don't know, it's just eating soup.
And then, like, these 2 guys in suits came up with this weird silver stick, and there was a bright light, and I don't know.
They were wearing sunglasses and suits. I don't know.
Matched where they eat the red pill and then they just forget.
So many possibilities.
So is this book actually The Matrix?
I don't know. I haven't seen this.
Yeah, Julie's never seen The Matrix, so she doesn't know.
Oh my god.
It's fine.
Tangent. I watched a film theory where they theorized that Neo isn't actually the one, but the rogue agent Smith is the one, and it's really fucking good. Brittany, you should watch it because it's genius. It's brilliant. It's Matt Pat's film theory, so it's like, it's well done, and it's like, it was so good that Reddit was like behind it, like 100%. So when Reddit's behind it, it's like, oh shit, this is but like his evidence was really fucking good. And then he does another theory that the like real world is just another Matrix, and not actually the real world.
I've heard that one.
Also really fascinating.
This world?
Yeah, no. So like, it's not this world,
real world in that movie.
Because
this isn't the real world.
I was like listening, and then I like spaced out, and then I started listening.
We went on a tangent about the Matrix.
No, that's cool. We're gonna cut that out.
Yeah.
No, I actually had a coworker who believed this entire world was a simulation.
The simulation theory, yeah.
Yeah, that's a common one.
I'm sure it is, but he was literally like, only 10% of the population's real, so do whatever you want, man. I was just like, what?
Cool.
It was Julian.
Yeah, that sounds like Julian. 100%.
Whenever, like, helps you.
I mean,
was like,
whatever helps you, like, not have anxiety, I guess it's fine. Whatever.
So if I killed you right now, are you part of the 10%? Do you think I am?
Or am I a simulation?
Right. I'd like to know. Do you have the answers?
So when Joey was last year, we were catching up on, we were like basically like watching as much Black Mirror as we could to catch up because we only watched it together. And so we just recently watched an episode where,
was it the one where they have to fall? They like had the. Never mind. Keep going. I only watched one episode
where they did the thing and but no, it's like they're locked in this like community. Nope. It's community, but it's like it seems like it's like a community for like this age to this age because it's like it's almost exclusively for people who are trying to find like their like life partner, basically.
Oh, I remember that one. Okay.
And so like it's like. You have, like, this, like, thing, like, this device.
Oh, yeah, that's
like,
the one I watched.
You
sign up to be in this dating program.
Yeah, dating program, yeah. Yeah, it's basically Tinder.
And then it goes off.
And then it tells you, like, how long it's going to be.
And you can fuck or not.
And then these two people, like, rebel against it, and they leave, and then it turns out it's just a computer program. Like, that's, like, computing, like, the possibilities before.
Beat it.
But then, like, it's, and then it's, like, the two people, and they get a 98% chance of, like, you know, their...
Because out of 100 times that simulation was created, 99 times they rebelled together.
Yeah.
What? That was the only episode I watched and I loved it.
It's really, so it was, because, like, there's also, like, that moment where they talk about it, and he's like, what if this is all just a simulation? And then it's a simulation. It's, like, fucking brilliant. Like, genius. Like, writing is so good.
I should watch that show.
It's good. It fucks with you a lot.
Yeah, I can't watch, after just that one episode, which I didn't think was that bad.
That was probably the least chill, like the most chill episode.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, but I was also like, what?
But
I was also high.
There's a
that didn't help.
There's a lot of episodes where I have to pause it and then I just have to take a minute.
That's what Melissa said.
Yeah,
she was like, we can't watch more than 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah,
because
Joey and I binge it, but there's always a moment where like I gotta pause real quick and I just have to process what the fuck I just watched.
Back on track.
Back on track. Cause it doesn't feel very much like a fully fledged society that has like enough backstory because I don't think Lois Lowry wrote it for the backstory. She wrote
because it's a metaphor.
Like, yeah, it's like a message more so than
just gonna keep saying that.
I mean, everything is very. It's like when
I don't feel like the entire story is a metaphor. What is it a metaphor for? What is the lesson?
Diversity is important. Pain is important to have happiness. Like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Sameness, like the sameness. I don't want to get all political, but it's like. Trying to be as politically correct as possible is not going to fix everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a great book to read right now.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing I was thinking of. I was like, all these like campaigns to like make everyone like the same. Mm-hmm. Like that.
Not everyone is the same, and no one is going to be the same.
And that's why.
That's why society is the way it is. Yeah. But what we have to do is recognize those differences and then, like, accept those differences. Like, you can be different from someone and not be a total giant fucking asshole to them.
Yeah, and, like, the idea of having no extreme emotions is not good.
Healthy.
Yeah, you're gonna have pain and anger, but you're also gonna have ecstasy and, you know, all the good ones.
Ecstasy and ecstasy.
And ecstasy. Actual ecstasy.
Like, actual ecstasy. But yeah, you're gonna have, there's a constant like that.
And they even get rid of, like, attraction and stuff like that, too. Like, you don't get any of that. You don't even get sex.
You don't get any sort of feelings.
Yeah. And they think...
That's trivial. Yeah, they think that anger is getting...
They have feelings, but they don't.
A little bit upset about something because it was stupid.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I'm sad today.
Because in the beginning when they have the thing after dinner where they're like, all right, let's go over our feelings and how we feel. And it's like, oh, this is a really good thing to do. But then you realize what they're feeling is like nothing.
Yeah,
right.
It's really easy.
And then it's also
really easy to discuss things that don't actually matter.
Because it was, like, also, like, when Jonah becomes a receiver, he's given, like, explicit rules. Like, rules that he gets to basically break for the normal rules, like, society rules. And one of those rules is he is not allowed to share his feelings or his dreams, like, at all. And so, like, it's interesting to me that that's the case, because, like, when you gain all of those, like, memories, you have so much that you want to say.
Well, he tried.
He
tried to bend the rules. Like, with Asher, he tried to put his hands on him and make him see the colors, and, like, but it's not right in their society to touch other people outside of your family unit. Yeah. So it made Asher really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. By the way, Asher's a super dope name.
It is.
I know. I'm using it in one of my books.
Yes. Oh. Asher is a common one in the book that Brittany has been writing. But yeah, it's like, because it's like, and like, I think that's like so interesting, because like, I think the one thing that Jonas wants to do is like take all of his feelings and connect with somebody, and he can't.
Right.
There's nobody.
He wants to be a giver now.
Yeah, but he can't, and I think that's why Jonas is the one who like ends up breaking that whole like.
Do you think part of the reason that he's able to do that is because he accidentally gives to Gabe?
Maybe. I mean, it would.
I think he just has that ability. They just don't let him know, because he's not supposed to give away. He's supposed to retain it as long as possible until his predecessor. Yeah. Like, he's breaking the rules, giving it to Gabe. Like, he shouldn't have done that. But Gabe has the ability to receive it as well because of the pale eyes. Yeah. So he's just being a fucking idiot. Yeah. Essentially. Being a child, because he is one. He doesn't understand.
But I think, like, because there's, like, a potential that when he was, was able to give it to Gabe, and he was able to give Gabe, like, a soothing memory to help him sleep at night, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, it made him want for the rest of, like, the society to understand. Like,
he
like,
actually
things.
Helped someone with this knowledge.
He sees that it's able to help people, so why can't we give it to them, basically? And I think that's, giving Gabe the memory and meeting Gabe might have been a very big trigger in, like, what caused Jonas to, like, basically break. Because, the giver is a very solitary job. Like, the giver/receiver is very solitary. Because you can't, the only people you could talk to are the giver and the receiver about the shit that you just gave and received. And then at some point, the giver goes to the dying place. So, then it's just the receiver. So, it's so sad because he's 12, and he has all of these emotions now, and he doesn't know how to process any of it, and he just wants his friends to understand, and he wants his dad to understand, and he wants Gabe to be safe and, happy, and there's, nothing he can do aside from leave. So he leaves. Which is crazy.
So, this is the other confusing part about the magic, too. It's so the farther away he gets from the community, he loses memories, too?
Yeah.
So there's...
The memories have to stay within the community, I think,
they're
because
stored somewhere in the community, then.
Yeah, in the giver/receiver. That's where they're stored. In that person. Once you leave, whether it be dying or walking away, they stay within the community because they're the community's memories. They're not yours.
Yeah.
You didn't go through those things.
You don't go through those things. You don't get to have those things.
Well, I think that's why, he only had a vague memory.
Right.
Because they were out and about in the community, running rapid around, causing chaos.
Yeah.
And what's nuts.
And what's nuts.
So... After the ending,
which I agree is stupid.
After the ending, what do you think happened in the community? Now, once they got all those memories.
Oh my god. Chaos and bloodshed.
Well, there was a lot of
and then it devolved into the Hunger Games
that he went through. Mm-hmm. So that's why the giver wanted to stay, to help the community get through
what they were about to experience, basically. Not a memory wipe, but actually help them.
Mm-hmm.
Understand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh,
so do you think they did?
I mean,
or do you think they tied him down and forced the memories back into the old guy?
Take the memories! My hope is that, my hope is that the society just crumbled entirely. but I had no idea. Because, like, that, in my thinking, that's probably what happened. Because, like, what memories did Jonas get? Like, he got a boat, he had a sled.
He had a year of memories. I'm sure it was more than just what we saw.
Oh, yeah, true.
He also had hunger, he had war.
Yeah, he had hunger,
he
war.
He had death.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the elephant died, which was so fucking sad.
Yeah, that was
Kill an elephant on my walk.
That was another thing. So when it's like, what is that, 2/3 through? He's like, oh, it's the holiday day where all the kids are like, we're gonna go play, and they're playing war.
Yeah, but they don't call it war.
No, I know, but like, how do they have a concept? They have pretend weapons. So that to me means there's people walking around with guns, and they understand what they are, and they're just not mentioned because, like there has to be some sort of security.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they say at night, like, aren't there like guards like walking, or what do they call them?
Yeah, they're basically they're like sentries or something.
Yeah.
But
so that's,
I'm assuming, again, like, because they have a concept of weapons, they probably walk around with guns.
They're just never used.
I think it's like,
it's
interesting because I think this goes back to Jonas being an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much more happening that is just like these tiny details infer that there's probably guns around.
Yeah,
because
I was
they
also
have a concept of it.
That. Right.
So, like, I think that's a fascinating part.
And they have a concept of attack, counterattack. So they have a concept of tactics and strategy in wartime. Like, that's weird.
So I think that's what, this is like a frustrating part of the story, but I also think it lends very well to the story. Because, like, that's, like, part of the first person narrative, basically. Yeah. Is, like, you only get one person's side of the story. You only get what they deem is important enough to tell you.
Yeah.
So, Jonas grew up with these things all his life. He's not going to tell you anything that he doesn't deem important. Like, the narrative,
if it's normal for him, he's not going to go and, like, and then the sentry with the gun walks by me.
They're holding their guns.
Right.
Wow.
Our society, this is how our society works. And then it's like 3 paragraphs of like how the security system works. And even though he's a 12-year-old, he knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah. You have to input this code and then this other code. And then you go through and then
there are no codes because the doors are never locked.
Doors are never locked because you could just go inside.
Because there's no secrets. Although
it's like, it leads to like a frustrating aspect because you're just like, what the fuck? But I think it also, like, with Jonas being an unreliable narrator, it like lends the story to be very interesting and fascinating, more so than it's frustrating, because you want answers, but I think it's interesting that we're getting all of our information from a 12-year-old.
Yeah, right. It's good writing.
Yeah, it's like it's done really well.
I just really wish Jonas was in better character.
It's a better character.
I mean, it's, like, hard because, like, the whole thing is, like, they don't have personalities, really. So it's hard to, like, write someone with a personality.
Yeah. Because he doesn't gain, really, a personality.
No, he doesn't really change. He just, like, gains all this knowledge and
kills himself.
Saves a kid.
Yeah, saves
he doesn't,
an infant.
I don't think he goes through a full-on change.
Right, yeah.
So.
Crazy, and it's like...
He kind of just goes through a trauma.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, he basically just goes through a trauma, and then you're just along for the ride with him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit, I guess I get to experience this trauma, too. Because, it's like, he's not a character you really relate to in any way, shape, or form. Because he's just, like, kind of like an entity. He's like a robot that exists.
Because it's a metaphor.
Sure, Brittany. You win.
Yeah, Brittany, we got it. It's a metaphor. You win. You won. We got it. But there's moments where you do understand, like, things. And, like, there's moments where you feel you are Jonah. Like, when he learns about what his father does.
Right.
And when he realizes what's going to happen to Gabe. Like, there's moments where you, like, feel like you are inserted into Jonah's head. And, like, because, like, I feel like those are the moments that he becomes the most human. Even though he's technically human, he's very much like an android.
Right,
the entire
society.
Yeah. So, like, when he has those moments of humanity is when, like, you
can
personally,
finally
like,
glom onto him.
Yeah. And, like, those are also the, like, hardest moments to process and handle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, like, that's basically how, like, a lot of memories and trauma work. Like, most of your, like, it's easy to remember, like, a lot of your most traumatic memories are the ones that stick in your head. Like, either from, like, you'll remember them, or you'll completely, like, block them out entirely.
Yep.
And then it, like
repressed.
And then it represents itself in other ways. So it's easy for, like, when traumatic things happen, for, like, more humanistic emotions to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he becomes human briefly, and then he reverts back into himself a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's finally a breaking point. I think and then there's, like, his breaking out moment, where, like, I think is, like, like, when you feel, like, Jonah has something in him that, like, is human, but then he basically dies, so.
Which brings me to another thing that I read, that this is a Jesus Christ retelling. How do we feel?
What?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Thoughts?
Because he kind of, I don't know, it's a theory online.
Why?
I'm trying to think. Okay, so, like, Jesus, all right, he was born.
Like, if you take it as he died to save everyone, to give them feelings that they.
Oh my god!
Deserve.
In Messenger, does he come back?
I don't know.
To life. Yeah.
Have you read that?
But I don't think it's like,
so in any story where somebody sacrifices themselves,
Harry
that's
Potter,
a Jesus retelling.
Yeah, Harry
That's
Potter's Jesus. Yeah,
Harry Potter's not Jesus. He's a fucking kid.
But that's the theory.
The theory is he's Jesus. He died so that other people could live.
Yep.
And
he literally died and came back. Spoilers.
Not 3 days later, but like at like a couple of hours.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I've heard that before, but
I mean, I feel like anytime anybody dies for like the greater cause, everybody wants to like equate it to Jesus, which I get because Jesus is a very prominent figure in like the sacrificing for like humanity sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's certain instances where it's like, oh yeah, for sure, yeah, they're doing like a whole like a Jesus thing here happening, like Detroit Become Human is like a very like heavy-handed Christian like Jesus like save the androids message with Marcus, like literally is gunned down and then pulls himself back together in a junkyard and then causes a robot rebellion. So like spoilers. So like, but that one has very like his final coat in like some of the final scenes has a literal cross on the back of it, and they like it was find salvage in a church. So like it's like a lot of those metaphors are super heavy-handed. So you know that's obviously what they're going for in this instance. And like especially if you play the pacifist route in Detroit Become Human, like you're just Jesus. But I don't think this story lends itself to this idea of like Jesus in a way.
Or
because like
okay, I read that, and I'm also reading a philosophy book right now where they're kind of talking about the same thing, where I don't think it's necessarily equating it to Jesus, even though that's what whoever made these theories is doing. I think it's more of the idea behind the Jesus story.
Sure, like I could see that more so.
It's a shortcut to say, it's the Jesus story.
It's the Jesus story.
But yeah, I'm still.
Because I don't think Jonah is Jesus, but I think he, like the idea of sacrificing yourself for humanity, is Jesus-esque. But a lot of other fucking people did that too. Jesus isn't the only one who did that.
Yeah.
Most well known.
Jesus is probably the most well known. But I don't think that he's like.
But it's like Jesus. It's not just the idea of sacrificing. It's beyond that. Mm-hmm. It's I don't know.
Well, the reason
like
why
I'm reading
Jesus
a whole philosophy book, so it's kind of deep, but so it's hard to like just say it, but
I could just say this and then you'll understand.
Yeah.
That's not the point of philosophy. Because, like, Jesus died for our sins so that God would forgive us. And then he came back 3 days later. Or whatever. And then what happens after that is kind of like, who knows? And not important. But I don't think Jonah died for our sins.
didn't he?
No. I think
The sins of who? The sins of the community?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think he died, Brittany.
It's a metaphor. He can die if I need him to die for the metaphor.
Like, because I don't think he thinks what they did is a sin.
Yes, he does.
Okay, murdering the kid, sure. That's
Does
a
he
sin.
say the word sin?
I don't know if they
I
have
don't
that
think
word.
so.
But does he say it?
Let's do a search.
Or does Jonas say sin?
Well, I have the Kindle. I can just search for the word sin.
Bam!
0 results.
So, no.
So no.
Done.
Because I think he thinks that, like, their ignorance isn't healthy.
Right. He thinks it's unfair that
It's
there's
unfair.
no choice in the
Yeah.
He
world.
thinks it's hurting everyone.
Yeah, it's hurting everyone. But I don't think he thinks that's the fault of them. I think it's like, because, like, we don't know how far back the society goes, and neither does he. He doesn't know at all. He didn't even know that there was a before everything else that happened.
There was a before.
So, like, I think he understands that, like, the people now aren't responsible for, like, what's happening, but they don't know any better, and the only way they're going to learn any better is for him to die. But, like, I don't think that's why. That's not the reason that Jesus sacrificed himself. Jesus sacrificed himself because humanity was worth forgiving. Because, like, the Old Testament God is kind of fucked. He's kind of a dick. A little bit. Like, sends a flood to just kill everybody because they pissed him off once. So, whatever. But, like, New Testament God's pretty chill. He's pretty hype.
You just gotta learn.
But, it's just, like, weird. It's weird. Like, I understand, like, part of the point, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Basically. But I can't adequately explain why I don't believe it without it sounding more like then he's just Jesus. You just described Jesus. But, like, I just don't think that it's that, like, big like a level. Because, like,
isn't it though?
I mean, it is, but I don't.
It's dealing with the idea of life is suffering and why that's important, which is kind of more of a Buddha thing, I guess. But
yeah, it's definitely like because Jesus' whole death was like to forgive humanity for their sins. Because
I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah, that's part of it.
It's not the whole thing.
Yeah, there's more to it.
Which is what I like. I'm trying to explain, but I can't explain because
yeah, it's great
because it's in this portion of the book where he's talking about the difference between belief and faith and how actually having a belief in God means you have no faith. It's really interesting.
Oh my god!
And it actually makes so much sense, and it's like so that's why I don't like going to church. Okay,
got it. Because I have faith in nothing.
Actually, that kind of means you do have faith, but we'll move on.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
Whatever.
Well, actually.
Whatever. But it's just like... It's just weird. Mm-hmm. It's weird. I don't...
uncomfortable talking about this.
I mean, yeah, well, that's like... The Giver is not exactly a comfortable topic, like, book. What's the point of it?
I don't remember this discussion in 8th grade. You know, in the book that I had,
Yeah,
which I
when
actually
you guys
stole,
discussed it in class, what extent did you get to?
I don't even
remember. I don't remember.
Like, that was, like, so long ago, Brittany. But the thing I was trying to get to is that the copy of The Giver I have, I stole from that 8th grade class. And in the back of that book are actually, like, discussion questions, which is why I'm mad I didn't bring the freaking book.
We can probably... I want to know the one thing that I remember from discussing The Giver in school is when we were reading it out loud, and then
try German food.
Oh hell yeah! Don't like that.
Watch it.
I already like it. Because like the only thing I remember from discussing this book in 8th grade was when we were reading out loud, and the word serene came up, and they're like, my teacher was like, "What's the definition of serene?" And I was like, using context clues, it sounds like it's calm. She's like, "You're right," and I was like, "Cool." And then that's it. That's all I remember.
That's all I remember. Winner.
I also remember that was the like book because like we read that book out loud, so everyone took turns reading it.
Right.
God, I hated that.
Yeah, it was awful.
I hate that.
Worst reader
and
ever.
Everyone liked it when I read, but also hated it because I read too fast. And they were like,
oh, I hate when people read slow because it's like I'm already 2 pages ahead of you. Like,
I'm already done. I've finished.
And then like
the
we
page
stop
on.
somewhere to like discuss, and I'm like, I'm in the next chapter. I don't know.
I'm done now. So they were just like, I couldn't keep up with you, and it's like, well, then fucking read yourself. Why am I reading this for you? You're 12.
You know how to read. We shouldn't have to do this in class.
So old now.
Okay, so I pulled up some discussion questions if we want to like.
Cool.
Just pick like 2 or something.
Okay, 2. Let's do.
Yeah,
so
we are at the 90-minute mark, though.
We have 1 through 8. So, Julia, without looking, pick a number.
7.
Okay, Brittany chose 7. Cool.
Definitely not Julia.
Definitely not Julia, but that's fine. Lois Lowry helps create an alternate world by having the communities use words in a special way. Though that world stresses what it calls precision of language, in fact, it is built upon language that is not precise, but deliberately clouds meaning. What is the danger of such misleading language?
Political correctness.
Steve, I'm gonna go with political correctness for the win.
Do they have political correctness? Ding, 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 ding. It's like the only answer.
Right.
Because that basically feeds right into our discussion about, like, love and, like, why they, like, told him not to use that word. But, like, it's, like, that's interesting. Like, it's, like, deliberately clouds meaning, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And cool.
I know, it's like...
Wow, what a discussion question, guys.
Well, it's interesting because it feels like they are being precise and more truthful by saying,
they're not,
I enjoy you, rather than saying, I love you.
Yeah.
Because, like, in their reality, they have no biological connection.
Taking real feelings out of
they're taking
everything.
real emotion out of all things. Like, they're getting very pragmatic.
I'm so sorry. That picture is
There's a picture of Lois Lowry on this website, and she looks like...
Oh, yeah, I think we're on the same page.
It's like a weird hand claws. Like, what's going on?
I don't know why her hand is...
Hello.
Greetings, children. Okay, Julia, now pick a number. Not 7. 4. Why is the relationship between Jonas and the Giver dangerous, and what does this danger suggest about the nature of love? Because they get really close, right?
Well, also, the Giver hasn't really talked to anyone in X amount of years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk to with any, like, actual, like...
Meaning.
Substance.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Substance. I was going to say context.
Not any context.
Yeah,
Just having weird conversations out of nowhere.
Random words are being spat out. So, I mean, at first he is, like, I wouldn't say maybe cold to Jonas. Like, he's like, you're here for one thing, like, yada yada. But then later on, he tells him, he's like, I love you, like, I loved Rosemary, like, even though you're not. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are, who knows?
Well, I think, it involves the fact that they know love. They know what love is.
Right.
So, like, and, like, there's, like, a connection that the givers and receivers can have that no one else in that society can have.
Because they have, like, real feelings.
Yeah, they have real feelings and emotions and memories.
And even, like, the Giver says, like, I would have never thought about, they don't use the word rebelling, but rebelling essentially until he got here. Like, he thinks that now that they're both on the same page, they can change. Mm-hmm. Like, so the danger comes...
Yeah, the danger comes from
the knowledge that they're
like, two people who feel very strongly about something can change so much. And, like, I think that's, like, one of those things where it's, like a ripple, like, one, like, ripple causes more ripples. Like, just because it's, like, there's two people who are taking on an entire society, but they have so much knowledge between them and, like, their emotions and their feelings that they can cause, like, a change regardless of, like, how little they are.
So why is it dangerous?
Because it's not good for the society, man. Like, sameness, man. Sameness. All sameness. All same. No feelings. Yeah. Sameness. Because, like, I don't think it's dangerous for them. I think it's dangerous for the society that they live in.
But then it says, what's the danger suggested about the nature of love, which takes it out of the context of the book.
Yeah.
So what is dangerous about love in general?
In general, oh my god.
Get your feelings hurt.
You act impulsively.
You do things because, like, yeah, they had a plan, right?
Yeah.
To, like, what they were gonna do, and then gave.
But even that plan was born out of an impulse of, like, all right, this isn't fair, so this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and then, like.
And is that better for the society?
I mean, impulses aren't necessarily good, but I think you learn how to, like, control impulses and learn when impulses aren't, like, not to act on impulse, basically. But, like, you can't learn that if nobody else has, like, feelings, basically. Like, you can't learn how to control your impulses by just getting rid of all of your emotions. I mean, I guess that's one way to control your impulses. If you have no emotions, you have no impulses, but...
Well, that's part of the pill that they take every day.
Yeah.
For the stirrings.
But, yeah, like, I think, like, yeah, for the society, like, impulse isn't good. But I think, like, there's a time and place for impulse, I guess. Like, there always is. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for pain. There's a time and place for happiness. There's time and place for literally every emotion that this society has tried to remove entirely. And, like, when you don't have those emotions and you don't have love and you don't have anything, there's nothing. It's just nothing. You're just a machine that's just shelling out nothing. Mm-hmm. You're still doing nothing. You're making people out of sake of making people.
Yeah, there's no actual meaning behind it.
Yeah.
You're just a bunch of gears in a clock.
Yeah.
That's telling time for no one.
Nobody cares about your time.
Woot! We did it.
Oh my god. Sorry, I was, like, started reading another discussion question. I was like,
no,
what?
Don't read it.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna read it out loud, but I just, like, started.
So would you recommend this book? To a 12-year-old?
To a 12-year-old?
To a child?
I would. Because I think this book is written really well. And I think, like, it's fascinating. When you understand that, like, Jonas is an unreliable narrator, it makes the book, like, that much more fascinating to read. But I think it's like one of those books that I read it as a kid that I think, like...
I think every kid should read.
Yeah. I think it's, like, a good, like, fundamental book to read.
Maybe that's why it's in school.
You know what? I think you're on something, Julia.
It's on the children's bestseller list still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
years and years later.
Yeah, because I think this book is worth reading, for sure.
Yeah, the lesson is good.
Yeah. It may be just a metaphor, but it's a good metaphor.
Well, no, yeah. Because I'm reading it now, it feels like someone is teaching me, but
yeah,
it's because I'm reading it now, and I'm the person that I am, so.
And I don't want to be taught no more. And move past that.
Well, no, it's not that I don't want to learn things. It's that...
I already know this shit.
Yeah.
It's like when they're trying to teach you about plant cells again in biology, but it's like the 5th time you've taken biology, and you're just like, I fucking know about plant cells. Can we move on to some cool shit, please? No, we gotta learn about plant cells. Did you know that plant cells have a cell wall, but animal cells don't? Because I now know that forever. Like, it's never gone. Plant cells have chlorophyll, and that's what makes them green.
That's nice.
I know too much about plant and animal cells now, because I had to take biology like 5 times, and we just learned the same thing.
I was like, why? But then I remembered you moved a bunch.
Yeah,
I took it twice, but it's because I failed it once.
Oh, shit. Because I like you take like you learn a little bit of it in like elementary school / middle school. Then you take like an actual biology class in high school, and then like biology is like recommended for non-science majors in college. But I failed it like twice, so I ended up taking it a lot more because I didn't want to go because I was so sick of learning about planet animals. So
I know.
Like, can we learn about real cool shit? Like, I'm interested in genetics. Can we learn about anything else? And don't give me the fucking Punnett square shit. I already know that shit.
Let's move on.
Like, please. For the love of
I'm
God.
not 12 anymore.
I'm 19, please.
So what have we deemed this book?
I think of our three, I think it's beautiful.
Indeed.
I don't think it's terrible or not worth your time, because it's worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah.
So.
We've deemed this book beautiful. Stamp it.
We do. Oh, shit.
I needed the stamp. Where's my gavel?
Yeah, we need a gavel. Court dismissed.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It. Deemed beautiful. Heckin' yeah, guys. Heckin' yeah.
Did it.
That should be the other unauthorized tagline for what the yaw. Just heckin' yeah.
Heckin' yeah.
Heckin' yeah. If we're gonna do it, it's yaw. What the yaw?
So yeah.
Read this book. It's pretty good.
Go out and read it and have feelings, because feelings are good for you.
Feelings are good. And also learn how to process those feelings. If you don't know how to process those feelings, please seek help. Because it helps you to process your feelings. Healthily. In a good, healthy way. Yeah, healthily.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Hell yeah.
Until next time. In January.
Oh yeah,
Or
our next podcast.
Whenever this comes out.
Yeah, whenever this fucking comes out.
I mean, it won't be January, so
Yeah.
see you guys in January.
Some point. We'll see you later.
Probably at the end of the January.
The January.
2019, here we go.
Oh shit, son.
So this was our 10th episode.
1 year down.
Yeah. So yeah.
We fucking nailed it, guys. We fucking did it. We've made so many changes. We've done so many things.
Thank you for staying with us if you have.
Yeah. Thank you for listening forever and always. Never stop listening.
Never.
And now we're creepy. Alright.
We should just cut it there.
Just end it.
Do that.